Okay, 12 down, 5 to go, including tomorrow night's primetime matchup in Pittsburgh. What's up, and welcome to the Game Plan, brought to you by your local New England Honda dealers. I'm Tom Giles. Tommy Curran standing by. Plus, we got Phil Perry joining us from Pittsburgh. And we're also going to have Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette with a Steelers perspective on both head coaches in this game, which is going to feature backups Bailey Zappe and Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. And, of course, you got the Patriots eyeing a top 2 pick, and the Steelers looking to build on their playoff chances. And it's a short week, especially for the visitors. New England traveling to Pittsburgh this afternoon ahead of the Thursday night football game, and the Steelers, well, they're looking to bounce back from an ugly loss to the Cardinals in which they lost Kenny Pickett to injury and had to call on Mitch Trubisky. Still, Pittsburgh has a defense that can make things very uncomfortable for any quarterback, including Bailey Zappe, who presumably will make his second start of the year.
Control what you can control. So it's, that's what we say around here, I guess. I'm not really big into those things. Like, I'm really cool, calm, and collected. That's kind of how, my dad, brought me up. My mom brought me up. So I don't really try to dive into, trying to overwhelm myself or anything like that. I try to control what I can control. And whatever my read is, I try to do my read. And if something happens and I, make a mistake, I try to go back and learn from it. I try to really not dive into it and ride the roller coaster. I just try to stay, level.
All right, taking a look at the injury report. Patriots going to be without Demario Douglas once again, who in concussion protocol. Kayshon Boutte also going to miss this game, which really limits what you have in the wide receiver position. Riley Reiff, of course, not going to be there as well. And, Trent Brown officially questionable for this contest against the Steelers. That's a special type of game plan. We got Tommy Curran in studio. We got Phil Perry in Pittsburgh. Phil, what's going on, man? How's the Steel City?
Oh, it's beautiful. I love Pittsburgh. This is the best trip on the schedule for the Patriots every time it pops up. You get the stadium right downtown. You get the great food, Giles. It's a great place to be. I'm a fired up human being for tomorrow's game.
I know you are.
Despite the records being what they are.
Yeah, he's been talking about Pittsburgh quite a bit. I was asking him, the best road trip. So that's where we're at with this team. We're talking about how much we love the road trips that Phil's on right now. But let's get to Bailey Zappe. And I guess, Tom, I'll start with you. What are the expectations for Bailey Zappe's second start of the year?
I think it's going to be much more difficult for him to have success in this game, for one, because Demario Douglas is out. Additionally, now you've lost your lead running back, so you're coming into a game on the road in prime time against a team that has something to play for, and Pittsburgh has one of the best defenses in the league, spearheaded by T.J. Watt. So you have a little book on Bailey Zappe if you're the Pittsburgh defense, and you're also playing for something. So I look at this, Phil, and say, it wasn't too encouraging last week, but at least they got to 0 points. This week, it's going to be a tough road, I think. You?
Tom Giles, you notice how Curran's eyebrows arch up when he's talking about Bailey Zappe's prospects in this game? I feel exactly the same way, and I feel like my eyebrows might be stapled in the same direction all night on Thursday. This is the 5th best defense. The Steelers is 5th best in terms of DVOA this year. The Chargers, by comparison, are 28th. The Steelers are 7th best in quarterback rating allowed. The Chargers are 6th worst. And that's after last week's game where Bailey Zappe only had 140 yards passing. This could get really ugly. It's TJ Watt for sure. Minka Fitzpatrick is an excellent player quarterbacking their secondary. Cam Hayward is still a force to be reckoned with on the interior of their defensive line. This is going to be a problem for the Patriots, and it wouldn't stun me if they were kept out of the end zone for a second straight week.
Yeah, that would be discouraging. I can tell you this, the Patriots' point total, as far as the sports books are concerned, is 11.5.
Yeah, it feels high.
It does feel you do kind of start to wonder how you're going to get to 11.5. Maybe they can score a defensive touchdown. Before we get into that, I mean, since you're mentioning some of the defensive numbers, Phil, let's take a look at some right here at the Steelers defense that they are facing, allowing just 19 points per game, the Steelers defense. And they allow the second lowest completion percentage. They've also racked up 34 sacks, 14 of those, as mentioned, from T.J. Watt. Got the second most in the league. 12 interceptions as well. These are all presented by the Oakers Company, proud sponsor of the New England Patriots. But this is a really good and opportunistic defense. I think you've seen them kind of do that against teams like Baltimore, Cleveland, even when Deshaun Watson's on the field, healthier teams. So this is an uphill battle for sure.
Yeah, so what's your game plan, I guess, will be the conclusion that you end up having to reach. And what can the Patriots do against Mitch Trubisky to keep them, Pittsburgh, under a dozen points themselves? To me, your game plan is going to be what it was, Ezekiel Elliott left, right, and center. But who are you checking it down to? That's where you get into that difficulty. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm not sure I have this stat exactly right. He's been over 14 yards receiving once in the past 8 games. One time.
That's not good.
He had 52 a couple weeks ago. But who are you giving the ball to is my question offensively. So it's, you heard so often Bill Belichick speak today about special teams and the importance of a kicker. That's not even something the Patriots have in their back pocket with Chad Ryland because of his woes recently too, Phil.
I think unfortunately for the Patriots guys, they're going to have to rely on their defense to score. This is something that both Jabril Peppers and Jalen Mills said after the game. I guess at this point, we just have to score. What more can we do? We can put it in the end zone ourselves, and they might have to do that in order for them to win this game. And there are a handful more where they're playing really good defenses down the stretch here this season if they want to have the kinds of results that we know they're looking for, right? Patriots fans out there that are hoping for a nice draft pick, they may not be hoping for necessarily W's to happen on the Patriots schedule, what's remaining with it, but they need to score somehow, and their defense might honestly be their best bet at this point.
I think what's hard for a team right now, too, when you mentioned there's plenty of games like this, you're going to be on prime time. You've already been told you're a prime time pariah. This is where it's difficult for a player because he's been working since March or April. If you signed with the Patriots, you were hopeful they would turn things around. You've spent probably 80 hours a week preparing for the game, having your body racked, and then you go out in the game and you get a less than satisfactory or borderline humiliating result. That's why it's so difficult for teams when they are floundering like this to maintain locker room unity and culture. So we're looking at this team and saying, it's not a bad thing if they lose the games, but it is soul crushing for a lot of these young men who, a lot of them haven't experienced soul crushing in its most vivid forms yet at the age of 22, 23, 24, 25. I mean, life gets harder, boys, but this is a bad professional situation.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, as you bring it up, too, and this point's been made, how many of these guys are actually going to be on the roster next year, which means that everyone else is auditioning for their next job, right? So you have like 80% of the roster, at least, that's trying to figure out a way to stick on with another NFL team or prove that they should be brought back next season. And it's got to be a difficult situation. Going back to the primetime thing, I mean, it was made a pretty big deal last week when we found out the Patriots were being flexed out of Monday Night Football. But, Phil, the way things could go tomorrow night might have people looking at things differently if they were at all upset that the Patriots were flexed out of Monday Night Football.
Oh, there's no question. I don't think there are a lot of Patriots fans that are necessarily clamoring for their team to be the only show in town, to have everybody's eyeballs on the product that they've had to watch over the course of the last few months and dedicating your night and maybe lost hours of sleep and maybe a tough day at work the next day, staying up until 11:30 to make sure you see every single snap of the Patriots try to do something offensively, try to put some points on the board offensively. But there's this game, that Chiefs game that did get flexed. That's another one of the best defenses in football. And on Christmas Eve, again, how much attention you're going to be getting from Patriots fans, never mind the rest of the country, on Christmas Eve when everybody's getting together with family and celebrating in the way that they typically would. Are you going to carve out a lot of time to make sure you're watching the Patriots go against another really good defense in Denver's, which has been playing well of late, and Sean Payton has that team winning games now? I don't see it. It's not a desirable product at the moment.
The other thing, too, is you're going to look across at a Pittsburgh team, and real quick, but why have the Steelers been able to continue to win games? They go through the quarterback transition, Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett, who honestly might not even be the guy, but yet here they are at 7-4. They're still able to win games. Defense
for them. I mean, they've been winning ugly all year, and the players themselves have been railing about the fact that people are saying that they're winning ugly. Offensively, they're fairly inept, but they do have some skill position players. They're a defense-based team. They're not good, but they're mediocre, and the Patriots are a far sight from that. Do you give them any inkling, sliver, or smidge of a chance, Giles?
The Patriots?
To stun the world?
I do not. Not tomorrow. They're a 6-point underdog, so it's inside a touchdown.
That's not bad.
It's really not, but that's because Mitch Trubisky's on the other side.
He's not bad.
They're going to have to, as Phil laid it out, they're going to have to score a defensive touchdown.
There's worse backups in the league.
So I guess that would be the slight chance.
Okay.
That they would have to score a defensive touchdown. Patriots visiting the Steelers Thursday night. Going to get you ready starting at 6:30 p.m. with pregame live. It's presented by TouchView Interactive Display Panels, available at the Oakers Company.